Don't miss the inaugural All-American Cup Team Tennis Tournament, presented by Thomas J. Henry, at the Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, Texas, November 11 through 13. The All-American Cup features 10 top men's U.S. players competing on 2 teams, East versus West, each captained by the greatest tennis doubles team of all time, Mike and Bob Bryan. You don't want to miss this. Brother versus brother, East versus West, best versus best. Tickets on sale now at allamericantenniscup.com.
All right, AP. You just heard Kinsey Lee's take on the Texoma regions and which team she thinks is going to. She's pretty confident. She can confidently say she thinks Gunner is going to make it to AT&T Stadium in December.
Feels right.
But now you get to hear our take on the region through players to watch and ranked teams and our favorite stonks, all of that good jazz. So stick around for that. There are only, I think, I had 28 teams in the Texoma region. So as a region as a whole, it's pretty small. Only 4 of those teams currently ranked. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Let's start off with 3A Division 1. We've got number 9 of Pottsboro. You picked them to come out of that region. We'll talk more about them later, but definitely wouldn't be surprised to see them make some noise in the playoffs. Moving on down to 3A Division 2. Number 1, Gunner. You've heard all about them. We're going to keep talking about them because they're electric this year, as you just heard Kinsey talk about. But in the same district there, number 5, Bells. They've already played this year. Mm-hmm. Probably Gunner's closest game, I would say,
Bells
this
is
year.
a really good team.
Bells is a team that I think is kind of flies under the radar here, and it's because they're in that same district as Gunner. I think if they were in a different district than Gunner, I think that they would have more attention to them. But because they're stuck in the same district as Gunner, I think Gunner kind of takes all the light there. Only 2 losses on the season, as Kinsey said. Whitesboro and Gunner, I don't know. It's tough. They're going to meet Gunner early on in the playoffs, I think. Well, actually, no. Let's see. 3A. They're 3A Division 2 here. Let's see. I think that. Okay, so they're definitely on opposite ends of the bracket. So they probably will meet up again. I would say probably in the regional finals here, it looks like. If they make it all the way, they're probably going to meet up again at regional finals. And, man, you know what they say. It's hard to beat a good team twice. So if we're lucky enough to get that rematch, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bells beat Gunner. But then again, Gunner's a really good team too, so no telling what's going to happen there. But let's go ahead and close it all out with 2A Division 2. Only 1 ranked team in that classification, and that's number 7 Collinsville. We heard Kinsey talk a little bit about their quarterback, which we will get to in a second. We'll also talk more about them in our stonks because we think stonks are probably pretty high on them. But only ranked team in 2A Division 2, that's number 7 Collinsville. But like we said, there's only 4 ranked teams in the Texoma region, so that was pretty short. Even though there's only 4 ranked teams, there is no shortage of talent around there. How do you like that transition?
I like it. Good job. Right? Good job. We're doing the thing.
We are doing the thing. But let's go ahead and get into players to watch in the Texoma region. And this is hilarious. I even looked at you when Kinsey was going through her players to watch.
And you're looking at me going, I think she mentioned everyone
of these on this list. So I feel validated at least. You know, I think I picked a couple of good players there to watch. But let's go ahead and start off with Denison 2024 safety Kenyon Kelly. He has played an instrumental part in this Denison defense this season, and he's only a junior, so he will be back. He's got pretty good size, good frame, 6'1", 180 pounds, already holding offers from schools, powerhouse schools like Tennessee, Oklahoma, LSU, which is defensive back central, TCU, Michigan State, and even more than that. I think one of the aspects, though, that sets this guy apart is just his ability to read the offense and react accordingly. I kind of saw that in his huddle film when I was watching him earlier, but he's just got that really acute ability to read offenses and to get to the ball wherever that is on the field. In Denison's game against Princeton, Kelly had a 100-yard pick six, so he's he's definitely elite safety that has room for growth, of course, because he's only a junior, but definitely is a top target in the class of 2024. So keep your eyes out on him. Let's move down to Whitesboro quarterback Mac Harper. I am so high on this guy, and that is one of the main reasons why I picked them coming out of Region 1. He has just been stellar this year, and Kinsey can back me up on this because she already has mentioned Mac Harper. What did she call him? Mac
Attack, I think.
Mac Attack. I freaking love it because I agree. I am all in on this guy. I'm all in on Whitesboro. He's just been stellar this year. 1,774 passing yards and 20 touchdowns on this season. I think Coach Fagan probably has a couple of design runs for him too. 387 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns on the ground for Harper there. Last week alone, he's so good. He's a senior, so he's not going to be back next year, but definitely a quarterback, a player to keep your eye on in the Texoma region to make a pretty big splash here in the next couple of weeks. Moving right along, let's talk about Pottsboro 2024 running back and athlete Major McBride. A lot of juniors on this list. So
I was going to say that's the crazy part is these teams have a lot of these teams have a legitimate chance to make deep playoff
talent next year,
and it's just going to continue.
I know that's super
and it's not a realignment
exciting.
here, so get used to it.
I know, right?
Everything's going to look the same.
Yeah, exactly. So watch out for these juniors, man. They are on fire. My McBride, talk about a breakout year. He's a two-way player who has had a major impact on Pottsboro.
Look at Guy.
I'm
Dang
on a
it,
roll
you
here.
were on a pun roll, man.
On a pun roll. Thank you. That's good validation. Oh, he's had a major impact on this Pottsboro's successful regular season run. The numbers he's been able to put up just as a junior this year are just insane. 1,415 rushing yards, 27 touchdowns on the ground, 8 of which were over 100 yards. That's pretty good. 462 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. And on the defensive side, he's still pretty good. He's recorded 32 tackles, 6 sacks, and 3 fumble recoveries. I mean, man, those stats right there speak for themselves. I mean, he's the real deal, and would you look at it, he's got another year left. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a splash in the playoffs and to come back fighting next year too, because it's probably going to be even better than that. Moving on down, gunner athlete Ethan Sloan. Man, I feel like he has just been on our radar for 3+ years.
Shout out Miss Caskey.
Yeah, shout
His
out
mom's
Miss Caskey.
a badass. I'm not
she
gonna
is.
lie.
She's awesome. I'd love to have her on the show too.
We need to.
So if she's listening, I'd love to have her on. But yeah, Ethan Sloan, man, he is the guy for gunner, and he has been the guy for gunner a couple years. He was a part of their state championship a couple years ago. He's fast, he's athletic and versatile, and will most likely beat you in a track meet. This dude, I mean, he's so fast. It's so fun to watch film on him. Well, I guess it's fun to watch film on him if you're just a casual football fan. But man, if you're scouting him, you're probably looking at it like, oh crap, we gotta defend against this guy. I mean, how are we gonna do that? He's just a playmaker, making plays all over the field wherever he lines up. He's just a dynamic kid. He's got over 60 varsity career touchdowns, and once he's got the ball, like, good luck catching him because, like I said, he is super fast. He's caught the eyes of Baylor and Duke and Kansas. I'm not sure if they've actually offered him yet, but he's definitely catching the eye of some of that top-tier Division I Power 5 talent, and I would not be surprised to see this guy play at the next level this year. He's a senior, so this is his last year, so he's probably looking at playing at
we
the
knew
next
he
level
was
this
going
year.
to be a star as we thought he had potential to be a star his sophomore year, but he is a little bit smaller than what you would anticipate.
Right,
but he makes up for it with how hard he runs. He's also, I mean, he's incredibly fast. I know he runs track, but he's incredibly fast, but he also plays a lot bigger than his body shows.
Yeah, he plays out of his size.
Yep.
For sure. I mean, he's got the heart and he's got the talent. He's a special kid there. All right, let's get moving. Bell's running back and linebacker Brock Baker. Kinsey talked about him too. I guess we're just on the same wavelength today. he's been great on the offensive side of the ball. 901 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns. But let me tell you, on the defensive side of the ball, at that linebacker spot, that is where Baker has absolutely shined this season.
You don't see defense like in like highlight shows and stuff, especially like what we do on Ballot. You don't see defensive plays that often. Like they have to be really good defensive plays to really catch wind. This kid has highlight plays for defense. Kinsey brought that up. She was like, his defense is insane. And I was like, oh yeah, when I heard that name, remarkable. I thought linebacker, and that's not usually, usually you would think, oh, the Bell's running back. It's like, no, that's the Bell's linebacker.
That's the Bell's linebacker. Like, he's a running back too, but man, watch out for him on the defense. 125 tackles, 22 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, 7 caused fumbles, and 3 interceptions just this season.
Insane.
He's so good. He's so fun to watch. And, man, he had a day against Pilot Point, too. 10 carries, 275 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns, 14 tackles, a forced fumble, and an interception. He's just a dynamic two-way player. Bells is lucky to have him, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this guy make a splash in the playoffs this year. And let's go ahead and close it all out. Kinsey also talked about him. Collinsville 2024 quarterback Logan Jenkins. This is an offense, too, that is averaging 42 points a game. 42 points a game. And Jenkins, he's the reason for that.
This has to be one of the most underrated teams
That's what
in the state. I really genuinely think that they have a claim for being one of the most underrated teams.
Absolutely. And
people are actually sleeping on Collinsville.
I think so. Yes, I can say that. We'll talk a little bit more about them here in just a second, but 2,469 passing yards, 33 touchdowns, and throwing at nearly 70%. He can throw on the run with great accuracy and targeting his guys deeps, and he can also use his legs when needed. 612 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns on the ground. And guys, look at that. He will be back next year. He's only a junior. This kid's going to lead this Collinsville team deep into the playoffs, and I can confidently say that. He's going to lead them deep. But there you go. There are your players to watch in the Texoma region. No shortage of talent around there. Can't wait to see them all shine in the playoffs because I am confident in that. All right, let's go ahead and round it out with our beloved segment, Stonks.
Always try your hand up, Stonks.
I laugh at it. It's so good. Oh, I can be done.
We're not.
That's fine. I'm exhausted.
No, if anything, we're stonking.
We're stonking. This is our favorite segment. We cannot forget about the stonks. But let's go ahead and get right into it. First up, Pottsboro. Up or down? 3A Division 1 Region 2. They had an absolute fantastic regular season, finishing at 9-1. Only loss, of course, like Kinsey said, coming from Whitesboro, and it was dang close. Only lost by probably a score, maybe 2 scores. They've got playmakers just all over the field, ranked number 9 heading into the postseason. I think my concern with this team in terms of playoff stock is the region that they were stuck in. And I call it the region of doom. And we kind of hinted at it at the beginning of the show. They were stuck in 3A Division 1 Region 2. And you got West, you've got Malakoff, you got Grandview, and I could even make an argument for Mineola.
Well, and Mount Vernon, Winsboro.
Mount Vernon too. Winsboro. I mean,
it's bad.
That is a very, very tough region. And if you ask me, I mean, I even texted you when we were making our picks on Sunday night. I was like, who the heck am I supposed to pick out a region freaking 2 on this?
Yeah, that's the only one we talked about. Like,
that
the
is
only
literally
one.
the only one you talked about. And you picked Pottsboro. You picked this team. I think I picked Malakoff, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Pottsboro always is pretty big. They can kind of bully people.
Yeah.
Not to say that their competition that they're playing isn't also big, but when you take a look at that region, you have the upper echelon. Like if you split that region in 2, you have the upper echelon, basically it's likely that Grandview and Mineola will have to play each other in the area round. So that's going to knock out one of them. At that point, Pottsboro, I think, is a better team than Gladewater, Tig, and Whitney. So at that point, you're already making it to the regional semifinals. I think Pottsboro could get a Grandview or a Mineola. At that point, you're in the regional final. So it's kind of like, okay, if you're able to get through that, then you look at the bottom part, and that means that West, Malakoff, Winsboro, Mount Vernon, they're all just absolutely beating up on each other every single week.
That's a really good point.
I just kind of went by when you get a district of doom like that, the way that I look at it, when there's not a clear-cut favorite, I always go, okay, who has the easiest path to get there, to be honest? You know,
You're
it's
right.
like all you have to do is get one probably really, really good win, and you're basically in the regional final.
You're right. I mean, that's a really good
That
point.
was my logic.
That's good logic. I
Yeah.
agree with you. I mean, it's just a tough region. And like I said, I mean, it's a coin flip. I mean, I think out of those
Region 2 and Region 3 are insane.
Oh man, yeah, Region 3 is crazy. Too. Yeah, Lorena. We talked about them already. Lorena, Franklin,
Columbus.
Hallettsville, Columbus. I mean, that region. That 3A.
But then the Lano Yellow Jackets
3A
gonna
Division
sneak
1.
in there in Region 4.
Yo, that's right. Yeah, you're yellow. We didn't even talk about them. Yeah, your Yellow Jackets. I picked them out of Region 4, but that's besides the point. Anyways, Pottsboro, I think your stock's pretty high. You're in a tough region there, but I think that your stock's pretty high.
They can at least contend with I think that they have the capability to contend with everybody.
Yes, your path is probably a little bit easier too. So I think that
they could get knocked out in the second round or the first round. I don't know, but they can compete. Yeah.
At this point, who knows? Don't take our word for it because we're guaranteed to be wrong here at some point.
But
Pottsboro, I think your stocks overall are high. Good luck to you in the playoffs. Moving on, this one's going to be super quick. Gunner, dude, your stocks are up.
Your stocks.
I can't really.
Yeah.
Nobody can disagree with that. Your stocks are up. I mean, dude, you're outscoring opponents 455 to 64. You had like 5 shutouts this season. You're 10-0 in the regular season. I there's nothing to say. I mean, like, your stocks are so high. I think you're just the clear-cut favorite there out of Region 2. I think you're going to meet up with Bells like we were talking about earlier. Gunner's probably going to meet up with Bells again in that regional final, which is interesting because like we've said all along, it's hard to beat a good team twice.
And then it could end up Gunner Canadian again.
Right.
In the thing. Or your Wall Hawks.
My Wall Hawks, you never know. I'm the only one that picked Wall coming out of Region 1. Everybody else picked Canadian, but that's okay. But yeah, in terms of Gunner, dude, I think this team has got it all. They've got the it factor. You heard Kinsey talk about them. They're just locked and loaded, and they're in the hunt for a state championship, and I just don't think anyone's gonna stop them. So yeah, your stocks are high, dude. Stocks are high for Gunner. And let's go ahead and run it all out. This is gonna be fun. Let's talk about Collinsville. I am really interested in this team because I think we talked about it. I think they're a sleeper. They didn't even make the playoffs last year. And now they're ranked, was it number 7 in 2A Division 1?
I believe so. Yep, 7.
Stocks are up on that account. I think regular season-wise, they went 9-1 on the regular season. I think in that regard, I think stocks are definitely up for this Collinsville team. Let's go ahead and talk about playoffs here. In terms of playoffs, I think that they could take Region 2. Let me pull it up real quick.
I was going to say the two best teams are going to be Albany and Wink. I think undoubtedly, but the way that this differs from years past is the fact that both Munster and Windthorst, the perennial powerhouses of
they are down
Region 2. Sometimes one of them they're in Region 3. Anyway, regardless, usually the perennial powerhouses of 2A Division 2 are Munster and Windthorst. They're both down. So when you take 2 teams that are really good, both in the upper portion of that region.
Yep.
And then you drop the other 2 teams down. I think Collinsville would be able to compete with Munster or Windthorst. It's like, it would take a lot to get there, but it's an easier path than they've ever had before.
And they've got the guy in Logan Jenkins. I mean, like we said earlier, he's a really good quarterback, and I think he's only a junior too, but I really think that he could lead this team to a really, really successful playoff run. They'll eventually run into Albany or Wink. Wink is really good. I I picked them coming out of, I think, Region 2. But I think stocks are definitely up on Collinsville. I think that they are going to, no matter what happens in the playoffs, they're going to consider this season as a success because of how well they did in the regular season. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them come out of Region 2 either. I think this team is really special. I think they're building something really special. They're going to be back this year because of their next year because of their quarterback. I think stonks are up too. I think all three of these teams. I think stonks are up for all three of these teams. I'm really excited to watch this region in the playoffs because we're probably going to see
small but
a
mighty.
team, small but mighty. That is the mantra for this region. I would not be surprised to see a team make it to AT&T Stadium coming
and women
out
talking
of
football.
Texoma. Yes, and women talking football.
Small but
Down
mighty.
here. Small but mighty. That's just our mantra here on
I
Women
love it.
Talking Football.